Good morning, day 152. I'm out here a little earlier, so we're actually seeing the sun cross the horizon. Beautiful over the lake. It's like glass. There's several fishermen out here already doing their thing. Yes. Okay, so we're in Isaiah 37:30 this morning. And I love the Word of God because it's so practical. Like, yes, we can get into the theology and the history and the context, but also if you're a rookie like me and you're just reading it for the first time and you don't know all of this stuff, you didn't go to seminary, it still speaks to you in a practical way if you're willing to go through the process and be a rookie. I'm stopping for those of you on camera right now. Look at this beautiful sunrise. And it is just so practical. I can take things out of it even as a rookie. I can glean something and get something from it. And that's exactly what we're going to even talk about today, is like that, being the willingness to put yourself out there and be a rookie. A lot of adults forget how to be good at that. Kids are great at it, and being a rookie at something is actually what makes life like adventurous and new. It gives your brain it's like brain candy, the learning process, and then sticking with it and challenging your brain and your ego to be new at something. For many of us with perfectionistic tendencies, and then once you get into adulthood, we go around posturing and think that we've got to have it all together and we know everything, and we don't like to be new at things. We like to just step right out there and look at me, I'm so talented and gifted, and but even the gifted and talented, that will only get you so far. The sticking with it, the path to mastery, that's what we're going to talk about today. And believe it or not, I got this from chapter 37, verse 30. And God is using Isaiah, to, of course, give a lot of prophecies and the destruction of the nations and Edom and Hezekiah, and giving him reassurance that he will deliver them from the Assyrians. And in this particular verse, it says, and in the first year, you will only survive, you will only have to eat what grows on the ground. The second year, whatever grows up after that is all you have. But in the third year, you're going to be able to plant crops and plant roots, and you will have the fruit of all of that, the harvest. And I thought, wow, that really caught my attention, because if I was just reading it and not meditating on it and not really pondering it, I would blow right past that and go, oh, okay, I don't really understand what that means. Sounds cool, whatever. But sitting with it, and even as a newbie, and reading the Bible in this way for the first time, I pay attention to what catches my eye that morning. Now, I may do the same process again next year, and there may be a different thing that pops out to me in a different way, and that's going to be amazing too. And in year 3, even all the work that I've done in year 1 and year 2 is going to start to produce an even greater understanding and methodology and mastery of reading God's word and really getting something from it. I'm planting deep roots right now, but they're not deep yet. That's not the way it works. Y'all want to see a blackberry tree? Beautiful in bloom. Trying to zoom in for you. Those of you on camera, look at those ripening fruits. Oh, very exciting, nature. And I was recently the example that came to mind, there's so many examples, but one came to mind is my daughter. She's a track and field athlete, and in particular, high jump is like her jam. She loves the high jump, and she's actually really good at it. She's put in a lot of time and effort, to getting good at this sport. Like, she has some natural talent, but again, that will only take you so far. And they try, and I watch even her and the competitors. And, there's usually at some point, it's almost more of a mental thing when you're like, okay, I've done it in practice. I kind of know I can do it, but you're not sure. Because was it just a lucky thing that day, or can I really do this on a repeated basis? So that first year is sort of where my mind went with this analogy. That first year, when you're doing something, when you're a rookie, there's a lot of things that can be, yes, you're trying hard, you're doing all the things, but it can kind of feel like, if you have some success, it can feel like you just got lucky at times, because you haven't had that consistency over time and repeated results. And so if you never really get past that stage, and you always kind of treat things like a rookie, like being a rookie, but it takes coming back that second time, and then your brain is like, wait a minute, I really can do this. Like, this hard work, like, I can do this. It's not just a luck thing. And then you're able to repeat that result on a more regular basis. And then you're on to the next height. And I'm talking about my daughter now, like the heights that she can do. And my husband and she's competing in our state tournament. Not tournament, that's the wrong word. State meet, whatever. And even at the starting height for the jumpers that make it to this elite level is like, whoa, like, no, a year or two ago, this was her highest jump. This was her PR, personal record. And now she has nailed that jump, and she's on to the next level. Now, can she get to that point, to that third and beyond time where it's like, oh, I got this, I'm a master. But those first one or two times can really, especially if you only achieve something once and you're not able to generate the same result, or you're not quite sure how because you haven't been consistent in your efforts. Yes, you've been willing to be new and experimental with something, which is good in and of itself. Like, the rookie phase is wonderful and great, but it can leave a lot of people frustrated if you're that perfectionist, and if you don't get the mastery as soon as you think you should, and you're not really willing to go through that second year of like still working at it and trying to be consistent in the results, the efforts and time leading to consistent results. And as an entrepreneur, I can speak to this. I've had to go back to kind of square one because I didn't have this mentality. And now doing it from this perspective now, and living life in general from this perspective ongoing. It's a whole mindset shift when you are a recovering perfectionist and you've lived more. Carol Dweck even puts it in the the fixed versus growth mindset. I didn't even think, I never had thought of myself that way. I'd heard Carol Dweck's work before, but because I had enough of a welcoming spirit towards being a rookie, I couldn't even see the forest for the trees. And so those are probably the people that are going to maybe track with me. And like, oh, because if you're willing to be experimental and be a rookie to some extent, but you're not super consistent and really on the path to mastery, that's a really interesting place to be too. That can leave a lot of frustration and a lot of oh, I'm just getting lucky attitude, imposter syndrome. And that in itself can feel kind of defeating because you don't have the mastery mindset of a true growth person. But you can kind of fool yourself into thinking, well, I'm willing to try new things, but only if I'm good. But I'm only going to stick with them if I'm good right away. And you're not willing to be in that gray area zone of just like kind of getting by that day. And even for the ongoing in a season where it seems like nothing's happening, like I'm doing all this work, I'm doing it and nothing's happening. You know, the sprouts haven't broken through yet, the roots haven't taken place. You're just doing the things. But that is important. That's an important season of work. Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers talks about, you know, there's no shortcuts. You got to put in your 10,000 hours. And that just takes time. And part of that time is being just brand new rookie. Second phase of that is being able to sort of get some consistency and seeing the relationship between your efforts and a consistent result. But then you've really got to, that even takes time to go to the next level where you feel like, oh yeah, I've got it. It's not just luck. It is like, I really can do this. And even culturally, we have examples of this. Like when the 4-minute mile was broken, everybody thought it was impossible. And then somebody did it. But it took a lot of other people being willing to sort of, you know, a lot of it is mental, like really being willing to believe that it's possible and then doing the work. And then before you know it, now it's like no big deal. And there's so many examples like that. So it's a combination of things, but we just want to skip, right? We just like, I just want to be a master. I'm right there with you too. As a coach, I'm like, I look at the big names and I'm like, oh, I would love to, you know, be that one day. But, you know, I got to trust the process and become a mastery and allow the process of getting the nutrients from what's there, what I can do as a rookie, allowing that to do its thing, kind of getting some repeated results with some consistency and the effort, and then having enough time, experience. I'm not such a newbie anymore, that then my own roots start to grow in that thing. And then I have real, like my own fruits coming from that. I hope this all makes sense, but it's a real mindset shift, and it's not one that we're really taught a lot. You know, anyway, we don't need to go into all the reasons why, because that could be a book in and of itself. Actually, it is. I mentioned a couple. But understanding it at an academic level or an intellectual level versus really being willing to examine yourself and be honest with yourself, and then even being willing to going back to a place of being a rookie. If you've got some areas in your life where you kind of thought maybe you were a master, but when you look at it closely, those roots aren't really there. Like there was some stuff growing and some stuff happening, but it wasn't really you that was, you know, developing the roots. You've got a mixture of maybe some luck, some talent, some gifts, some effort put in, but not mastery is a whole different thing. And you gotta be willing to be new at something. And that actually is exciting. Like I am like, as I'm continuing on my journey of just being new at things, and I'm realizing how dynamic that makes life. Like it's so easy to get comfortable and just to, you know, get in ruts, but you don't even know it because you're like, well, it's comfortable. I like it. I'm content. Well, okay, cool. But that's not what God designed us for. Yes, he did design us to be content in him. But as a human, in order to really thrive, we have got to challenge ourselves and be in this constant process of evolving and growing. And we find our confidence and our willingness and rest in him. We work hard and we do these things and we really stretch our humanness, and then we go back and we rest, like our divine part in him, and then we get some energy to go back and stay on the path to mastery. But it's a cooperating effort with God, I believe. That's and I'm finding that now that I don't have to do it just in my own strength, and I get encouragement from him, I get rest, I get the bigger picture and glimpses of the bigger picture, and why this process is so important and why we see it in nature so much, that it's important to God, so therefore it's important to me. And we are examples and role models to each other. So anyway, mindset of becoming a master and being willing to go down the full path of mastery, which means the willingness to be a rookie, to stumble and fumble and feel like you're not getting anywhere and no roots. You're just surviving on what's there for the day, the manna for the day, for the first year and even the second year, so that you get some evidence and proof that, okay, it's not just dumb luck here. I'm learning something, I'm getting something, and I'm sticking with it. And then we start to get the ability to get roots for ourselves. All right. I hope you were kind of picking up what I was putting down. And on this beautiful sunrise, have a great day. If you're watching this live or on this day, it's a Wednesday, hump day. So have a beautiful day wherever you are. And think about where you are in this process with things in your aspects to your life. And are you a little bored? If you need a little excitement, what have you always wanted to become a master of, but you haven't been willing to be new or a rookie at? Think about it.